All right. Looks like we're here. It's time to get started. Let's call the case of Marks versus Sonny's Rooftop Bar. I'm Jackson Lucky. I'll be the presiding judge. And scoring judges have already turned off their audio and video, I think. So we're all set there. And it looks like I have veterans on scoring Zoom trials, but just in case for our other spectators, everybody should set your video to hide all non-video participants. If you don't know how to do that, just click on the three dots in somebody's image and you'll see that, that option. And so at this time, I'm going to ask the advocates to go ahead and start their video and audio so that we can get appearances of counsel. And let's get appearances of counsel, starting with plaintiff, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Faith Dixon, and today I'm here on behalf of the plaintiff, Ethel Marks. I'm joined by my second chair, Shreya Chamadupati. Now, she'll be mostly off screen dealing with the technological aspects of it all.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. And appearances for defense?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Sophia Cho, and along with my co-counsel, Sarah Aelstadter.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
We represent the defendant, Sonny's Rooftop Bar, in today's proceedings.
Outstanding. All right. And before we get to opening statements, please make sure that you have your screen set to speaker view. And if you don't know where that button is, it's in the upper right of your screen. And attorneys, please remember to mute your video while opposing counsel is making opening statement. Let's go ahead and start with opening for plaintiff if there aren't any preliminary matters to take care of.
There are a few from the plaintiff, Your Honor. Due to the virtual nature of this setting, we'd like to ask your preference when it comes to screen sharing, if you'd like us to ask for permission or let the record reflect.
For the purposes of competition, we will consider everything to be constructively outside the presence of the jury. You do not need to ask permission to publish. Just go ahead, put it up, lay foundation, and then move it into evidence at the appropriate time.
Yes, Your Honor. And with that, with objections, would you like us to object and state the basis, or object and pause to see that you've acknowledged it?
Go ahead and object and state the basis, and then if you could pause, and let's avoid speaking objections. If I need to hear from you, I'll ask.
And we'd like the court to notice that exhibits 1, 22, and 23 are pre-admitted.
So stipulated, Ms. Cho.
And finally, Your Honor, we would like to invoke.
I didn't hear from Ms. Cho if she had stipulated to the admissibility of 1, 22, and 23.
That is my understanding, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Dixon.
Yes, Your Honor. And finally, we'd like to invoke rules 603 and 615 that witnesses are pre-sworn and sequestered, barring the party representative.
So stipulated, Ms. Cho.
We ask that all witnesses are constructively sequestered, barring the defendant, Your Honor.
Yes, and I think Ms. Dixon followed that up with that your client could remain in the courtroom. And so that both requests under 603 and 615 are granted. Anything else, Ms. Dixon?
No, Your Honor. With that, the plaintiff's ready to proceed to opening statements.
Ms. Cho, any preliminary matters that we didn't cover already?
No, Your Honor. The defense is ready to proceed.
Outstanding. And Ms. Dixon, anytime you're ready with opening statement.
The numbers don't lie. It's March 24th, 2019, the last day of spring break with your best friend, Morgan Levin. You two decide to go to Sonny's Rooftop Bar, but you're not there for more than 3 hours, and they end up serving you 8 alcoholic drinks. Your body is signaling for them to stop serving you. They never do. Even after you stumble directly into the owner, he serves you another drink and lets you leave. Not even a few minutes after you leave the bar, your car's at the bottom of a ravine. You've lost your life. Members of the jury, that's Jessica Marks. And her friend is Morgan Levin. The person serving her is Sunny Mehta, the defendant in today's case. Before we go any further, my name's Faith Dixon. I represent the plaintiff in today's case, Ethel Marks, on behalf of her daughter, Jessica. Today, we've brought a claim of wrongful death upon the defendant. Now, I have to prove to you that by a preponderance of the evidence, and there's 4 elements I have to prove. First, that Jessica Marks was a minor at the time of her death. Second, that Sunny Mehta was licensed to sell alcohol. Third, that Sunny Mehta served Jessica while she was obviously intoxicated. And last, that intoxication was the proximate cause of Jessica's death. And preponderance of evidence simply means more likely than not. And I'll prove those elements to you, but only if you look at the numbers. You'll hear about 3 in specific today. First, blood alcohol concentration. Second, a number of visits. And third, a number of drinks. It'll be as easy as 1, 2, 3. Now, 2 witnesses will be called to the stand today, Sunny Mehta and Morgan Levin. Now, Morgan Levin will take the stand and she'll testify about her former best friend. She'll tell you how Jessica was 19 years old and 5'0" at the time of her death. And she'll tell you that Jessica was intoxicated while at Sunny's rooftop bar, but you won't have to take her word for it, because we will show you the way Jessica was acting before Sunny's bar and at Sunny's bar. You'll be able to see for yourself, members of the jury. Now, Sunny Mehta will also take the stand today on behalf of the defense. And you'll hear the numbers through, members of the jury. You'll hear the blood alcohol concentration, alcohol content, the visits, the drinks, a bottle of wine, 3 White Claws, 2 beers, and more. You'll hear how Jessica was obviously, unmistakably drunk. And you'll hear how Sunny did nothing to stop it. At the end of today's trial, I'll come before you and I'll remind you of those numbers. And I'll ask that you find the defendant liable, because the numbers don't lie. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. And Ms. Cho, are you giving your opening at this time or reserving?
At this time, Your Honor.
Anytime you're ready.
May it please the court.
Yes.
Just now, you heard about Sunny's rooftop bar and how Jessica Marks drank on March 24th of 2019. But what you didn't hear about were the circumstances. That night was just like any. The rooftop was dimly lit with 2 string lights, while Sunny Mehta, the bar owner, and his bartender had their hands full with several other customers. The sporadic conversation that did take place between Jessica and Sunny showed no signs of obvious intoxication. And ladies and gentlemen, you can't know what you can't see. Good morning, members of the jury. My name is Sophia Cho, and along with my co-counsel, Sarah Ailstatter, we are here on the behalf of Sunny's rooftop bar. We're here because Sunny Mehta and Frankfurt Johnson did not overserve the victim alcohol, because they couldn't know what they couldn't see. But let me tell you about Sunny Mehta. He's the owner of Sunny's rooftop bar, a popular Hollywood spot, and licensed to serve alcohol. Both he and his employees have undergone extensive training to spot inebriation. But no one saw anything of the sort with Jessica Marks. And you can't know what you can't see. The only person in today's case who could have known their own intoxication was Jessica herself. Thus, we've brought for you an affirmative defense for you to consider. that it was Jessica Marks's own negligence that caused her untimely death. But before you even look at our charge, the plaintiff has to prove theirs. They must prove by a preponderance of the evidence that a reasonable person in the defendant's position should have interpreted Jessica to be obviously intoxicated. At the end of today's trial, you'll know that wasn't the case. We'll call Sonny Mehta, the bar owner. You'll learn how the rooftop bar where Jessica and Morgan sat was lit by 2-string lights. Then he'll tell you of the minimal interactions he had with them in the dark, all of which lasted less than a minute long. You'll also hear from Morgan Levin, Jessica's friend and acquaintance that night. It's Levin who will tell you that Jessica made the choice to drive herself home despite her protests. She felt comfortable enough even performing a sobriety test before leaving. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to ask you one question at the end of today's trial. Did Jessica Marks die because the defendant overserved her alcohol? By the end of today's trial, you'll know that Sonny's should not be held liable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cho. And is plaintiff ready with their first witness?
Yes, Your Honor, the plaintiff calls Morgan Levin to the stand.
And Ms. Levin is on screen. Anytime you're ready, Ms. Dixon.
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you please introduce yourself to the court?
I'm Morgan Levin.
Ms. Levin, I want to know just a little bit more about you. What do you do for a living?
I'm a student at UCLA.
What are you studying there?
I'm majoring in biology, but my real interest is in politics. I'm on an on-campus political organization. It's our campus's Whig party.
Now, I want to talk about someone you may or may not know. Do you know someone by the name of Jessica Marks?
Yeah, we grew up together.
And did Jessica attend UCLA with you?
No, we split up and went to different colleges. She was at Drexel.
Now, I want to talk about the night of March 24th, 2019. Do you remember that night?
Yeah, I do.
What were you doing?
Well, I was with Jess. We started the night out at her Airbnb, and then we went to Sonny's rooftop bar afterwards.
What time did you get to Sonny's rooftop bar?
Around 9 p.m.
Did you get a receipt at the end of the night?
Yeah, we did.
Let the record reflect my co-counsel's screen sharing Exhibit 17. Ms. Levin, do you recognize this document?
Yeah, it's the receipt from that night.
And who made this receipt?
Sonny's rooftop bar did.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction?
Yeah.
Your Honor, at this time, the plaintiff offers Exhibit 17 into evidence.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor. Objection hearsay.
Ms. Dixon?
Your Honor, we've established that this receipt was made by Sonny's rooftop bar, and that's the defendant in today's case. So it would be an admission of a party opponent under Rule 801D2.
Ms. Cho?
Your Honor, there's been no foundation laid that it was Sonny who in fact created this receipt. It wasn't just Sonny who was serving these drinks that night. They were actually served by 2 separate individuals in today's case.
And wait, Ms. Dixon.
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant is the... Yeah. Yes, Your Honor?
Please give me a chance to speak before you start speaking. Ms. Cho, is the entity Sonny's rooftop bar the defendant in this case? or is it an individual defendant only, Sunny Mehta?
The entity, Your Honor, Sunny's Rooftop Bar.
The hearsay objections overruled. Ms. Dixon, the Exhibit 17 is admitted. You can proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Levin, when was this receipt signed?
Around 11:45.
Now, I want to talk about some pictures of that night. If my co-counsel could put up exhibits 13, 15, and 16. Do you recognize these pictures, Ms. Levin?
Yeah, they're pictures that I took for a Yelp review of Sunny's.
Are there a fair and accurate depiction of those pictures?
They are.
Your Honor, at this time, the plaintiff would like to enter exhibits 13, 15, and 16 into evidence.
Ms. Cho, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
13, 15, and 16 are admitted.
And Your Honor, let the record reflect my co-counsel is putting up the stipulated times for each of the pictures.
And the record will so reflect. 9:42 for Exhibit 13, 10:57, Exhibit 15, 11:32, Exhibit 16, all PM.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Levin, I want to take the night hour by hour. Would it, if my co-counsel could put up a demonstrative aid for the benefit of the jury?
Ms. Cho, have you had a chance to see the demonstrative?
No, I have not, Your Honor.
All right, we'll go constructively outside the presence of the jury to review the demonstrative with opposing counsel.
If my co-counsel could go to the final version of the demo to approve for opposing counsel. My co-counsel go through each of the slides for Ms. Cho to approve.
And was there no opportunity for counsel to review their demonstratives outside the presence of the jury before trial?
I was never given that opportunity or made aware of an opportunity, Your Honor.
All right.
And that's the end of the timeline demo.
Any objection to the demonstrative, Ms. Cho?
No, Your Honor, no objection.
All right, we're back in the presence of the jury. Ms. Dixon, sorry for the interruption. You can proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Levin, what do you first remember doing between the hours of 9 and 10 p.m.?
Jess and I, we went to Sunny's Rooftop Bar.
And did you happen to order any drinks while you were there?
Yeah, we ordered a bottle of wine. We got some chips and guac and a White Claw and a beer.
And do you remember anything else happening between that time?
Yeah, at one point, Jess and I, we were going to the bathroom and we were going down the stairs and Jess, she stumbled, she just lost her balance and she almost face planted. But she caught herself on the owner, Sunny Mehta, and he said, "Whoa, we might need to cut this one off."
I want to move on to the next hour, between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. What drinks did you get from that?
We got 2 more White Claws and another beer.
Were there any other drinks from that time?
Yeah. At one point, she went inside and she came back with this other drink. It was a Captain and Coke, and she told me that she had gotten it for free from one of the bartenders.
Now, Ms. Levin, I want to talk about your final hour with Jessica, 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. What drinks did you order then?
We were really just finishing the drinks we had. But at the end of the night, we ordered 2 shots. They were like green tea, something. They were specials.
And did anything else happen of note between that time?
Well, the person who was waiting on us, Sunny Mehta, he looked at Jess when we were ordering. He said, "I hope this one's not driving home."
And did Sonny serve you drinks after he said that?
Yeah, he brought us the shots.
And do you remember filming a video on March 24th?
Yeah, I did. It was for Jess's Instagram.
Let the record reflect my co-counsel is screen sharing a still of that video along with exhibits 15 and 16. Now, Ms. Levin, could you tell us the difference between the exhibits and the still of the video?
Well, the still and exhibit 15 still has the chips in there, and some of the drinks are just missing in the last exhibit 16, that are in both the still that you're showing me and exhibit 15.
And do you remember what time the still of the video was posted?
11:11, I think, sometime between 10:57 and 11:32 for sure.
Let the record reflect my co-counsel is now going to play the video. Oh, with sound. Oh, we can't hear it. Yeah, Ms. Chemidipati.
You might need to restart the share, and at the bottom of the share screen before she starts the share will be share video and optimize, or share audio and optimize for video checkbox.
Ms. Levin, while she's doing that, do you remember who drank what that night?
The thing is, do you want me to answer that?
Yes, please.
Well, I remember drinking a glass of wine. I had the draft beer, and I had one of the shots. I'm pretty sure Jess drank the rest of it, though.
Okay. Let the record reflect my co-counsel's playing the video.
It will.
Hi everyone, Morgan and I are in Hollywood. We're at a bar. It's kind of like a Philly bar, except everything is really, really expensive. $10 for a seltzer. And everyone here wants to be a model or an actress. You know, I'd like to thank the Academy. Mom and Dad, you've inspired me. Okay, well, go big or go home.
And Your Honor, at this time, we'd like to enter Exhibit 10 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection to Exhibit 10, Your Honor.
10's admitted.
Ms. Levin, did Sonny ever come to your table after Jessica was acting like that?
Yeah, he did.
Thank you, Ms. Levin. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Cross?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Levin.
Good morning.
My name is Sophia Cho, and I'll be asking some questions on the behalf of the defense. If at any point you can't see or hear me, please let me know.
I will.
Now, I want to go back to the beginning of the evening on March 24th. You and Jessica spent some time at her Airbnb before you went out.
Yeah, we did.
You two had some wine.
Yeah, we both had 1 or 2 glasses.
And Jessica drove to Sunny's rooftop bar,
Yeah, she did.
even though she'd been drinking.
I mean, it was only a glass or 2 of wine. She wasn't drunk or anything.
Well, she had been drinking, correct?
Yeah, she was.
So it wasn't unheard of for Jessica to drink and drive.
I mean, yeah.
Now, Miss Levin, after you arrived at Sunny's, you two ordered some drinks.
Yeah, we did.
And you had several rounds between the time you arrived and the time you left.
We did.
And to you, Jessica appeared obviously intoxicated.
She was definitely buzzed.
So you're saying she wasn't obviously intoxicated?
Well, she was quite clearly buzzed, like very, very, very buzzed. That's what I would consider intoxicated.
Well, Miss Levin, you knew Jessica since middle school, correct?
That's correct.
You'd seen her drunk before,
Yeah,
but this was your first time at the bar
yeah.
and Jessica's first time.
Mm-hmm.
As far as you know, none of the bar employees knew Jessica.
That's correct.
Their interactions with her that night were infrequent.
Yeah, they really only like took our orders and served us.
And they were brief.
Yeah,
Now let's talk about the video you took of Jessica at the bar, Exhibit 10. You filmed that video, correct?
I did.
At 11:11 p.m.
Yes.
But to be clear, none of the bar employees saw you shoot this video.
I don't think so.
Objection. Under Rule 602, there's a need for personal knowledge.
Ms. Cho, you can rephrase.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Levin, did you see any of the bar employees on the rooftop when you were filming that video?
I don't think so.
And you never showed them this video?
No?
And none of them knew Jessica before that night?
Yeah, so they wouldn't have known how she normally acts.
Now, around 11:45 p.m., you and Jessica left the bar.
Yeah, something like that.
Jessica got into her car?
Well, she actually waited with me for my Uber to arrive because it was late and you don't want to leave someone alone like that.
Right, and when your Uber arrived, you tried to get her to join you.
I did. I asked her to get into the Uber.
But she refused.
That's correct.
And before Jessica drove off, she told you she'd gotten pretty good at driving after a big night.
Objection. Hearsay.
Ms. Cho?
Your Honor, we're not using this statement for the truth of the matter. It's not hearsay.
Ms. Dixon?
Well, then, if they're not using it for the truth of the matter, Your Honor, we'd like to amend the objection to relevance, Your Honor.
Ms. Cho?
Your Honor, this goes toward the affirmative defense that it was Jessica's choice to drive the car despite her drinking throughout the night.
All right, the objection is overruled. I'll give a limiting instruction to the jury as to how the statement may be used. And if the witness has answered, I can't remember. So Ms. Cho, you can re-ask the question.
Yes, Your Honor. Before Jessica drove off, she informed you she'd gotten pretty good at driving after a big night.
Yeah, she did.
She even gave herself a sobriety test.
Yeah,
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance under Rule 401. May I be heard?
Yes.
Well, Your Honor, in today's case, we're trying to establish whether or not Sunny Mehta served Jessica while she was obviously intoxicated. And her actions outside of the bar, outside of Sunny's view, are not relevant to today's case.
Ms. Cho?
Your Honor, this is relevant to the defense's affirmative defense and that it was Jessica Marks's own negligence that caused her death.
All right. In terms of relevance, having any tendency in reason to prove or disprove a fact of consequence, this at least meets that definition of relevance. If someone performed in a particular way on a sobriety test, that would tend to show whether that person exhibited objective signs or symptoms of being under the influence of alcohol that someone at Sunny's bar could have observed, since this is close in time. So the objection to relevance is overruled. Ms. Cho, you may inquire.
Now, Ms. Levin, Jessica even gave herself a sobriety test before leaving.
yeah, she put her finger on her nose and she started walking in a straight line.
And this surprised you.
Yeah, she didn't seem as drunk as I thought she was when she did that. She was able to walk in a straight line.
Now, Miss Levin, you originally were going to be a defendant in today's case.
I was,
Jessica's mother threatened to sue you.
yeah. It's because I didn't stop her.
But she never did.
No, she didn't.
And now you're here testifying against the people she did sue, correct?
I'm here because I want to tell what I saw that night and what happened.
Is that a yes to my question?
Yeah, because I'm just saying what I saw.
Thank you, Miss Levin. Nothing further at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Cho. Redirect Ms. Dixon.
Before I answer that, Your Honor, may I inquire how much time I have remaining for a redirect?
Yes, Mr. Wright.
Judge, if you're talking to me, the bailiffs aren't keeping time.
Who is keeping time?
The second chairs.
Then let's check in then with our second chairs. And I see 34 seconds from plaintiff second chair.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Ms. Levin, the opposing counsel asked you about at the beginning of her exam, some signs of an obvious intoxication. What signs of intoxication do you remember seeing in Jessica?
As the night went on, she got louder. She kind of stopped making sense. Her eyes were red and watery. She reeked of alcohol. And then there was the time where she face planted, or almost face planted, on the stairs.
Thank you, Ms. Levin. Your Honor, I have nothing further for this witness.
Thank you. And I forget, under our local rules, is recross permitted or is it just redirect?
I believe recross is permitted. However, I have no recross, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Cho. And Ms. Levin, you can step down. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Any further witnesses from plaintiff?
No, Your Honor, at this time, the plaintiff rests its case in chief.
All right, and I believe you had previously moved in exhibits 1, 22, 23, 10, 13, 15, 16, and 17. Did I miss any?
No, Your Honor, those are all of the exhibits.
Thank you so much. Plaintiff having rested. Defense, any witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the defense calls Mr. Sunny Mehta to the witness stand.
Mr. Mehta?
Please state your first and last name, spelling your last for the record.
Sunny Mehta, Mehta.
And Mr. Mehta, if at any point you can't see or hear me, please let me know. Now, what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm a businessman. From 2018 to 2019, I was the owner of my own rooftop bar.
And would that be Sunny's rooftop bar?
That's the one.
And were you working at Sunny's on March 24th of 2019?
March 24th was a Sunday. It was just me and one of the bartenders, but I was working that night. I was serving all the tables on the rooftop.
Now, as a bar owner, did you receive any training in spotting intoxicated customers?
Of course, all of my employees had to go through training. They had to pass an exam for the state every 3 years in order to get an alcohol serving license.
I hear the audio. Is anyone else hearing this as well?
I had a small glitch.
No problem, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Mehta, did you utilize your training on the night of March 24th of 2019?
Of course, I'm required by law to always utilize that training.
And at any time that night, did you spot a customer who was obviously intoxicated?
No, I didn't spot anyone intoxicated. Neither did my bartender, Frankfurt Johnson, downstairs. We didn't see that.
And how many customers were at that bar?
I was serving anywhere from 10 to 12 customers. I'd say that night there were probably a total of 20.
Now, you've since learned that Jessica Marks and Morgan Levin were two of those people. I'd like to turn your attention to what's been marked for identification as Exhibit 2. Now, do you recognize the person in this photo?
I do. That's Jessica Marks.
And approximately what time did she arrive?
On that Sunday night, she was there at about 9 p.m.
Where'd she sit?
She sat at table 4. We started taking her order after they got into the bar, her and her friend, Morgan.
Now, I'd like to talk to you about the conditions on the rooftop bar that night. What was the lighting like?
You know, it was pretty poorly lit. It's a rooftop bar. Ambient lighting we thought was important. You know, it's not super well lit. It's on top of the building, and it was nighttime.
Now, I'd like to show you what has been marked for identification as Exhibit 8. It would appear as though as Ms. Eilstadter is having some technical difficulties. May I ask that time be stopped?
Any objection to stopping time temporarily, Ms. Dixon?
No objections, Your Honor.
Thank you for the courtesy. We'll stop time and we'll wait for Ms. Eilstadter to get the issue sorted out.
My second chair would like to ask if you wanted her to screen share while yours is fixing her technical difficulties.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. Was Exhibit 8, I think?
Yes, please.
And once we have the exhibit visible, we can restart the clock. And then as Ms. Eilstadter gets her issue straightened out, we can switch back to her screen share.
Now, what is this, Mr. Mehta?
This is the rooftop of my bar.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of your rooftop?
It is.
The plaintiff moves Exhibit 8 into evidence.
Any objection?
I have none, Your Honor.
8 is admitted.
And we ask that Exhibit 8 be published for the jury at this time.
It will.
Now, Mr. Mehta, using the annotation tool, please circle the lights for the jury.
All right, it looks like the lights are to the left of the picture. You see 2 of the strings of lights on the left.
And what side of the rooftop was Jessica sitting on?
Jessica and her friend were right here in the bottom right corner. You can hardly see it from the photograph, but they were sitting in that corner.
Now, did you interact with Jessica at all?
I did. I was her server the whole night.
And thank you. You can take the exhibit down. Now, how many times did you interact with Jessica that night?
I took their order 4 to 5 times, so probably 8 to 10 interactions that night.
And how long were your conversations?
Always less than a minute. You know, I'm going from table to table. I have to get the drinks from downstairs, bring them back up to the rooftop. Maybe 30 seconds, but less than a minute, always.
Now, Mr. Mehta, did you see the plaintiff's video of Jessica at the bar earlier in this trial?
I did.
Based on what you saw, how would you describe Jessica's demeanor?
Based on just that video, she looks possibly drunk, but I can't say for sure just watching that video. You know, that night there was music playing, she appeared loud. I'd be concerned, but I can't say for sure if she was drunk.
Did you follow Jessica's Instagram on the night of March 24th?
No, I don't have Instagram. I didn't know Jessica's Instagram. I didn't.
Did you see the video of her at your bar that night?
No, at no point did any of my staff or did I see that video. We never were presented that video at any time.
And at any time, did you see Jessica Marks acting obviously intoxicated?
No, at no point did we see any signs of obvious intoxication.
Now, you heard of today of an instance where Jessica fell into you. Did that happen that night?
No, that never happened. I don't recall that. I don't know where that came from.
And you also heard that you said, "I hope this one's not driving home." What did you mean by that?
At one point in the night, it appeared that Morgan Levin appeared a little buzzed from what I could tell. And I turned to Jessica and I said, "I hope this one's not driving." I was talking to Jessica Marks.
Now, Mr. Mehta, I'd like to read to you something said by an eyewitness in today's case. Question, had you ever seen Sonny's refuse to serve someone? Answer, yes, if the person was drunk. Saw it several times. Question,
Objection, hearsay.
Ms. Cho, any response?
yes, Your Honor, the declarant of the statement is Stevie Roger, who has been deemed unavailable in today's case. This falls under that hearsay exception.
Which hearsay exception for an unavailable witness?
May I look at the rules of evidence, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, this would be Rule 804, exceptions to the rule against hearsay when the declarant is unavailable as a witness. It meets all the criteria needed.
There are several hearsay exceptions for unavailable witnesses. Just an unavailable witness doesn't make it, don't make all the hearsay exceptions automatically applicable. Under
Yes.
which subsection of 803 are you seeking to admit this statement?
This would be former testimony.
All right. So we have former testimony of a witness in a prior proceeding.
Yes, Your Honor, in a deposition.
All right, Ms. Dixon.
Your Honor, they're still using these statements for the truth of the matter asserted, and they're out of court. Now, there are many evidentiary problems with the deposition that she's referring to. And not only is it one level of hearsay, but some of the statements are double hearsay, Your Honor.
This particular statement does not seem to include double hearsay. I've never seen anyone, I've never seen Sonny's refuse to serve anyone. What element or requirement of former testimony has not been satisfied here?
None, Your Honor.
All right, the hearsay objection is overruled. And Ms. Cho, you can re-ask the question.
Now, question, ever seen Sonny take someone's keys, call them a cab? Answer, oh sure, Sonny and the employees are very responsible. Now, Mr. Mehta, is this an accurate representation of your policy?
Yes, absolutely. I prioritize the safety of my customers. So this seems accurate.
From what you saw of Jessica Marks on March 24th, 2019, did you feel it was necessary to cut her off?
No, at no point did we feel it was necessary to cut her off. We just didn't see those signs.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. Nothing further at this time.
Cross-examination, Ms. Dixon?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Mehta. Before I begin, can you see and hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Now, I want to talk about March 24th, 2019. You remember Jessica and Morgan coming into your bar?
Right, they came in around 9 p.m.
And you're sure that you carded Jessica by hand, aren't you?
I'm sure. I don't have a specific memory of carding them, but I'm sure I did.
But you were supposed to use ID scanners, weren't you?
Right. The ID scanners, they didn't work oftentimes, and on that night, I don't remember it working.
And you had to get those ID scanners because of a citation you received in 2018.
That's right.
Now, your bar was found liable for serving minors then?
On one of the instances, one of my employees forgot to check someone's ID, and he got out of the bar, he stumbled on the sidewalk, and he injured himself.
And that employee was Frankfurt Johnson, wasn't it?
That's right.
Frankfurt was working at Sonny's Rooftop Bar on March 24th, 2019.
That's true.
In your deposition, you were able to see that Jessica Marks had a fake ID within seconds.
That's right. Once I saw the ID, it appeared fake.
So you know that Jessica and Morgan were minors.
That's right.
I want to move on to when they sat down. And just as you said on direct examination, you took their order 4 or 5 times.
That's true. They were at table 4, and I ordered, or I took their orders. They both ordered about the same amount each time I came to their table.
But you can't tell me who drank what, can you?
That's right. I'm not sure who drank what.
I want to talk about an exhibit that's been entered, the receipt from that night. My co-counsel could go ahead and put that on the screen. Now, as shown here, they spent over $100 at your bar, right?
That's right. That looks like it.
And on this receipt, there are 8 alcoholic drinks.
That looks right. It looks like a bottle of wine. Yes, that's correct.
Now, I want to move on to some of the alcohol contents of these drinks. The wine, my co-counsel could put up a demonstrative to show the alcohol contents. The wine has an alcohol content of 14%.
That's right.
Each White Claw is 8% alcohol content.
That's right.
The Ballast Point is 7%.
Yes,
Sierra Nevada, 6.5%.
that's right.
The whiskey, the Bushmills, and the green tea shots, 40%.
That's right. Within the green tea shot, yes.
And the peach schnapps in the green tea shot is 15%.
That's correct.
Now I want to talk about a video that you talked about on direct and the one you saw earlier today. My co-counsel get the screenshot of that video up. Now you are aware that this was taken in your bar.
I am. It looks like table 4 from where Morgan was sitting.
And you were here for Morgan Levin's testimony.
I was.
You were here when she said this video was posted at 11:11.
That is what I heard, yes.
That's before they left your bar.
Right. That receipt was at about 11:45.
Right. And I want to show you a video of when Jessica, before she was at your bar, if my co-counsel could put up Exhibit 6. Now, you were shown this video in your deposition.
Yes. In the deposition hearing, I saw the video. But at the bar that night, I couldn't compare Jessica to a video. I never saw either video.
Now, my co-counsel could play this video.
Hey guys, we're going out tonight for a night on the town. We're going to a rooftop bar in Hollywood. Should be fun. You know, go hard or go home. Not ready to go home.
Your Honor, at this time, the plaintiff would like to enter Exhibit 6 into evidence.
Any objection, Ms. Cho?
Nothing to Exhibit 6, Your Honor.
Exhibit 6 is admitted.
Now, Mr. Mehta, you'd agree that she seems more sober in this video than the one taken at your bar.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what she looked like when I saw her and interacted with her.
My co-counsel could go ahead and take this down. Now, I want to talk about some things maybe you did or didn't see. You deny that Jessica stumbled into you, right?
That's right.
You deny you ever heard her slur her speech?
Correct.
And you never said to Jessica, we might need to cut this one off?
No, I didn't.
I want to talk about some things you can't deny. You can't deny that Jessica's blood alcohol content was 0.16.
That's what I was told.
And you can't deny that you served her alcohol on the night of her death.
Right. At no point did I see signs that would indicate that she needed to be stopped. So yes.
But Jessica was loud, wasn't she?
There was music playing. I guess so.
Mr. Mehta, you never commented on Morgan Levin being loud, did you?
Not Morgan Levin being loud, but she started slurring her words a little. She seemed herself a little bit buzzed from what I could see.
I'm just asking, if you ever mentioned Morgan Levin was loud, and you did.
Loud? I don't remember. No, I don't believe so.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have nothing further at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Ms. Cho, redirect.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Mehta, you were shown the percentage of alcohol in each drink that Jessica consumed that night. Does that tell you anything of how someone would be acting in response to that alcohol?
No, there's a difference between the percentage and what someone is behaving like. I can't tell just from how much they've had whether or not they're acting a certain way. And from our interactions with Jessica Marks, she wasn't acting in a way that appeared intoxicated to us.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. Nothing further at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. You can step down. Any further witnesses or evidence from defense?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, pursuant to pretrial order, we ask that Exhibit 23, which has been pre-admitted, be published for the jury.
All right, we'll publish Exhibit 23.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the defense rests.
Thank you. And it's, I was looking down when I said we'll do it to make a note. I didn't see if 23 had been published to the jury.
Ms. Aostotter, could please show Exhibit 23 up on the screen?
All right, and instead of having the jury read it at this time, we'll send it back with them during deliberations. And Ms. Cho, I had a note on Exhibit 2. I remember it being authenticated. I can't remember whether or not you've moved it into evidence.
No, Your Honor. Exhibit 2 is not moved into evidence.
Thank you. All right, defense having rested. Plaintiff ready for closing argument?
Your Honor, are we allotted a brief recess before closing?
That sounds outstanding. So why don't we take, Ms. Dixon, how long do you want?
4 minutes?
Let's make it. All right, Ms. Dixon, let me just make sure that Ms. Cho is back. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
Ms. Cho is back. We'll go ahead and proceed with closing arguments. If everybody could move back to speaker view, if you haven't already, and I'll ask Ms. Cho to stop her video, which she already has. Ms. Dixon, anytime you're ready.
The numbers don't lie. I'm going to start by reminding you of why we're here today. A mother lost her daughter. Her best friend lost her other half. Jessica Marks. On March 24th, 2019, Jessica Marks lost her life because Sonny never stopped serving. Now, I had to prove to you that Sonny was liable for her wrongful death more likely than not. And I did so by showing you the numbers. I showed you blood alcohol concentration, the number of visits, and the number of drinks. Let's first talk about blood alcohol concentration. Now, I just want to go through the various alcohol contents that Mr. Mehta walked you through today. You saw 14%, 8%, 7, 6.5, 40, and 15. I mean, it's no wonder her blood alcohol concentration was 16 times the legal limit. Ms. Marks was a minor, don't forget. So her blood alcohol concentration couldn't have been more than 0.01. And it was 16 times that. And the defense wants you to believe that that would have no effect on Ms. Marks, that she would show no signs of intoxication. She was 5'0" and 19 years old. Of course, it would have an effect on her. Let's talk about those visits. Now, Mr. Mehta took the stand today and told you about them. 4 to 5 times, and 4 to 5 times is 8 to 10. And in those 8 to 10 visits, Mr. Mehta brought Morgan and Jessica 8 drinks in just the span of 3 hours. We all can agree that the cause of Jessica's death was that she was drunk. And that drunkenness was caused by Sonny Mehta. It was his duty to have seen that Jessica was going to drive home intoxicated. I mean, he told you today on direct examination, he took people's keys. He's seen those signs of intoxication before. So why was Jessica any different? Well, that's because it was a slow day, members of the jury. Barely any customers, and he was looking for money. So let's talk about those numbers of drinks. Now we're going to need to spend some time on it because they're hard to keep up with. And just the first hour of being there, Sonny served Jessica and Morgan an entire bottle of wine, a White Claw, and a beer. Within the first hour of being there, Jessica stumbled into Sonny, and he said, "We might need to cut this one off." And right after that, did he cut her off? No. He continued to serve her drink after drink, hour after hour. Let's talk about hour number 2, where he served Jessica 2 White Claws of beer and a free drink from Frankfurt. As if 6 drinks weren't enough, in 2 hours, Sonny goes ahead and serves Jessica another one. Because at the end of the night, she got a shot. And that was only after Sonny had remarked, "I hope this one's not driving home." Did he stop serving her then? No, he didn't, members of the jury. Now you can deny actions, inactions, but you can't dispute the numbers because they don't lie. Now, I want to talk about those elements, members of the jury, that I had to prove to you at the beginning of today's trial. I had to show you Jessica was a minor. I had to show you Sonny was licensed to sell alcohol. Now, those 2 were undisputed. But 3 and 4, well, they required a little more work. But I showed them to you nonetheless. Now, Sonny Mehta served Jessica alcohol while she was obviously intoxicated, and those 8 to 10 times. You know, members of the jury, he served Jessica after that video was filmed, after you could clearly see she was drunk. And I showed to you that that intoxication was the proximate cause of her death through her blood alcohol content. Members of the jury, Sonny Mehta had 10 times to stop what he was seeing. 10 times to prevent Jessica from drinking, 10 times to save her life. And he didn't. If you remember nothing else, I want you to remember one thing, members of the jury. The numbers don't lie. It's because of that I'll ask that you find the defendant, Sonny's Rooftop Bar, liable for the wrongful death of Jessica Marks. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Ms. Cho?
Yes, Your Honor. May it please the court.
Yes.
I want you to remember something Miss Levin said to you today on cross. Jessica was buzzed. Buzzed. Buzz is not the same thing as obvious intoxication. If Morgan Levin, who was with Jessica the entire night, couldn't tell she was obviously intoxicated, how could Sonny? You can't know what you can't see. Today, you learned that it was the darkness of the bar that prevented Sonny from seeing. The few encounters between Jessica and Sonny that prevented him from seeing. The 30-second conversations that prevented him from seeing. All from seeing her state. But the plaintiff had to prove that the defendant knew that Jessica Marks was obviously intoxicated by seeing she was obviously intoxicated. but you can't know what you can't see. So let's look at what the plaintiff did offer you on knowledge. They told you about the statement, "I hope this one's not driving," and Sunny saying, "Frankfurt, we might need to cut this one off," after supposedly seeing her fall. Ladies and gentlemen, both of these statements came from Morgan Levin in today's case. The Morgan Levin here on behalf of her best friend's mother. Because then you heard Sunny testify as to what he really meant by his statements. When he said, "I hope this one's not driving," he was referring to Morgan. As for the fall, you learned that never happened. And the only other person who was at that alleged fall was Frankfurt Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at the police report. Frankfurt says that while he saw Jessica, she was tipsy, but otherwise fine. No mention of a fall. No mention of obvious intoxication. Then you saw the video of Jessica taken at 11:11 p.m. But members of the jury, Sunny didn't follow Jessica on Instagram, didn't watch the video or see it filmed. As for the numbers that the plaintiff has told you time and time again, don't lie. You heard Sunny Mehta tell you today that they tell you nothing. Nothing on behavior or signs of intoxication, because it affects every person differently. In fact, remember Exhibit 6, that sober Jessica the plaintiff showed you. Sunny told you on cross that that's exactly how he perceived her that night. And you can't know what you can't see. So let's talk about how we know the defendant couldn't see. Take a look at Exhibit 8. All that lit up that rooftop were 2 string lights. 2 string lights placed on the opposite side of the rooftop where Jessica was seated. And Sunny only had 8 to 10 interactions with Jessica that night. Interactions that lasted about 30 seconds each. Taking orders, dropping off drinks. Ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning of today's trial, we told you would be asked a question, asking if the defendant's negligence caused Jessica Marks's death. And now you know the answer is no, because he couldn't see. But if you do choose yes, you'll be asked another question. Was Jessica's death caused in part by her own negligence? Today, Morgan Levin told you Jessica drove her to Sunny's rooftop bar. Before even taking her first drink at the bar, Jessica had decided her own path. Because she drove knowing she would have to drive back. That was her responsibility to keep in mind, not Sunny's. When it came time to leave, she told Morgan she'd gotten used to driving after a big night. Because in the end, it was Jessica who made her own choices. Jessica chose to drive to the bar, chose to drink, and chose to get in the driver's seat for the drive home. Because of that, we ask that you find the defendant not liable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cho. Any rebuttal argument from the plaintiff?
Yes, Your Honor. Once again, can I inquire how much time I have remaining?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. May I proceed?
Yes.
Ms. Cho just told you, as for the fall, you heard that never happened. Yeah, from the person who's here on trial today for the wrongful death of Jessica Marks. Think about who you heard it from. Morgan Levin. What does she have to lose today? Why would she lie, members of the jury? And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that a 0.16 blood alcohol content on a 19-year-old 5-foot girl would show signs of intoxication. I mean, let's get exhibits 10 and 6 up on the screen, members of the jury. You mean tell me that Jessica just happened to turn off and on her signs of intoxication when Sonny came to her table 8 to 10 times for 30 seconds to a minute? Members of the jury, that doesn't make any sense. You heard from Sonny today, Jessica seemed sober in the first video, but in the second, not so much. You could see that that was at his bar. And as for the lights, members of the jury, not only can you see signs of intoxication, you can hear and smell them. So Sonny Mehta definitely heard Jessica slurring her words. He heard Jessica being loud. He smelled that Jessica was reeking of alcohol, and members of the jury, he did nothing about it. It's because of that Jessica lost her life. And it's because of that we ask that you find the defendant liable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. All right, and we'll ask that everybody stay on for just a moment. We're going to complete ballots